really proud of our team for playing the way that we did and getting our 1-0 on Saturday. Really thankful to the crowd at Autzen Stadium. Oregon family brought the juice big time, made a big difference, tremendous impact in the game. And now preparing for a tremendous challenge and opportunity this coming weekend. And questions, please.
James Crapia from the Oregonian.
Mario, wanted to get the status on several injured guys. Johnny went down. DJ Johnson, who didn't play. Keith Brown, Seven McGee. Jackson LeDuc was suited up, but you said that this week was more optimistic. Wanted to get an update on him. Powers Johnson, same thing, suited up, but didn't end up playing. And then Robbie Ashford didn't suit up and didn't know if that was health related or if that stemmed from the post game at Washington the week before.
I don't understand what your post game at Washington is, but DJ Johnson, we're still evaluating, but he looks like he's going to be good to go. Keith Brown, he tweaked something, but doesn't seem to be major. We expect him to be back. Johnny Johnson, we're evaluating, but we're hopeful. Seven McGee is fine. Jackson LeDuc is ready to play. Who was the other one? Jackson Powers Johnson, also ready to play. Both those guys were held back, but they were right on the cusp and they were ready to play in an emergency. And that's it. And Robbie is healthy. He hurt something mildly in practice last week, but he's good to go as well.
Eric Scopel, 247 Sports.
I wonder if you could put into perspective just what it's like playing a football game against Utah. I know schematically they aren't the same as you, but stylistically, you guys both want to win in the trenches. You guys kind of both, that's where you guys feather your cap, I guess. Just what does this game mean and these matchups over the last couple of years?
A really talented football team. They've recruited really well, got a lot of staff continuity. They've done what they've done for a long time and worked for a long time together. So they do a really good job. A lot of players that play with power, a lot of speed on that team, explosive players. Again, familiarity from having run the same systems for a significant amount of time. Just an excellent football team. It'll be a great challenge for us, great opportunity.
Antoine Staley, register guard.
To that point, what they run the ball particularly well, and then you've also stopped the run really well, especially in recent weeks. Just talk about the challenge that they present, just trying to stop them offensively.
They have they use multiple personnel groups, and they use them, what we call broken sets. They'll be in 12 and we'll break them out and get 11 sets, and they'll use 13 personnel as well. Their tight ends are excellent blockers, but it starts with the guys up front. They're very, very big physical guys, guys that do have experience. They finish their blocks. They play with really good technique. They're big in the backfield as well. They're hard to tackle. Our front seven continues to get better. Our safeties and the way we run alleys and play run support have also improved. Again, it's a great challenge. You're playing against an excellent football team that has been really good for a long, long time. And a lot of it has been established at the line of scrimmage, but I think a lot gets lost in the fact that there's so much focus on that I think their quarterback, their running backs, their wide receivers, tight ends don't get enough attention. Those guys are really good players. They've made a lot of explosive plays. They've been extremely effective on the perimeter. And I should say on defense, they've been really effective on defending the perimeter as well. And their quarterback does a great job with his arm and with his feet and controlling the offense. Just does a great job running it. And I do believe they lead the entire Pac-12 in scoring offense. So tremendous opportunity.
Matt Preem, 247 Sports.
Your thoughts on the matchup of their linebackers, Devin Lloyd and Sewell, are just really tremendous players, and just that matchup and importance of, I guess, matching their physicality and controlling those two guys.
Yes, sir. Well, they very instinctive players, and they get downhill in a hurry. They diagnose quickly. You can tell that they spend just tons of time in the film room. It doesn't take them long to figure what an offense is doing. They get it. And when they get there with the right type of disposition. They're knockback tacklers. Obviously very familiar with the Sewell family. Devin Lloyd's a guy that, with his length and his range, again, just an excellent football player, as well as Nephi Sewell. Both those guys, they do so much for them, not only as linebackers, but also in the blitz game, and also just as pass rushers, what they use Lloyd. I mean, he's just a really, really good football player.
Luciano Chatelain, end zoners.
Hey, Coach, I hope you're doing well, and thanks for your time today. This will be your last game on the road this season. What are your thoughts on your team's performance playing away overall throughout the season?
Well, I think we've gotten better and better really over the years, just handling the road trips like a business trip, and the ability to cut out all distractions, to pack all the things that are necessary. Really, pack your intangibles is what you need when you go on the road. I think our processes have gotten better and better. We know we're going into a tremendous college football environment where it's loud, chaotic. Their fans do a great job providing the type of atmosphere that you always look forward to in playing college football. But our guys are really looking forward to this opportunity.
James.
Mario, this is the lowest tackle for loss allowed rate I think any offensive line you've ever coached has allowed. And yet obviously nobody is a projected first round pick, maybe not even second. You've had a ton of personnel rotations. What do you attribute the level of success, particularly the past 2 weeks, but this past weekend, 2 tackles for loss, 1 on a sack, 1 on a screenplay against a team, that's the fewest tackles for loss the Wazoo had in like 5 years.
I think our players are performing at a really high level. They're working their tails off. Coach Mirabal, I'll keep saying, is the best offensive line coach in the country, and he doesn't want any of that credit. He just wants to go back to work and do more. Coach Moorhead has called some really good games, and we've done a really good job creating angles, creating leverage. We've done a good job with our footwork, hat placement, hand position, and we still got to get way better. We've improved, we've progressed, but there's a lot of meat on the bone. We still got to get better.
Zach Neal, Duckswire.
Coach, you've had a chance to watch the tape from last week now. Can you kind of put in perspective what you saw from Byron Cardwell and just what he's doing as a freshman? It seems like he's kind of running beyond his years at this point.
He is. His eyes are just getting better and better. So he's seeing things as the game slows down for him. He's running behind his pads too now more. So you see that physicality really starting to show on a more consistent basis. Ball security has improved. Assignment wise, he's been on point. He was in this for some more, I would say, challenging calls, not just running the football. He performed really, really well. So he's growing up fast. We always felt confident in him that he would. He invests a lot of time. He's very serious about the game. He's very serious about his development, and he's very serious about his teammates having success. So all in all, the invested time, the extra time is really paying off for him, and we're going to need him to keep developing at that level.
Eric Scopel, 247 Sports.
Coach, you were critical of your kickoff coverage units against Washington, much better over the weekend. I wanted to give you the opportunity to kind of praise some guys there, maybe what the difference was. And then also Mikhail Wright as a kickoff returner, his most explosive day maybe in a couple of years as a kickoff returner, just how that changed the game for you guys.
Well, without a doubt, his kickoff return to start the second half was a huge starter for us. I mean, really got the momentum, the energy kicked up, and we scored on that drive. So Mikhail, we feel like he's back to form. It really is. But it starts with the guys that are on that unit providing those blocks. And back to the whole coverage thing, we improved this past game significantly, and we'll need to improve again. We do feel Utah's special teams are exceptional. They're a threat on every single punt or kickoff to house one. They do a really good job themselves creating leverage and angles and creating room for those guys. And again, the returners are they're special returners. So you got to do an excellent job, make sure that you get these guys on the ground, you contain them, because they could change the game in a hurry.
Matt.
Mario, in November, we always see teams that are trying to fight for bowl eligibility or seniors seeing their careers kind of come to an end and they want to win out. Winning is hard in general, but just can you put into context winning in November of how hard it is, because everything that rolls into it of guys' careers coming to an end, getting to bowl games and whatnot?
Well, it's certainly, November is special in itself, right? I mean, the whole season is, but when you get to November, football being such a game of attrition, for a lot of teams and for a lot of individuals, it's a gut check, right? It's I think a lot of times people love the idea of football. And then when you get to November, maybe they don't love it as much because of what it demands of you. And it's a lot. And I guess the best way to put it, it takes nothing less than every ounce that you have. Nothing less, not one bit. And when you have people that are really dedicated and committed and love the game, like can't live without the game, November's can be really special because they realize they're in the fourth quarter of the season. And in the fourth quarter, you always want to finish, right? You always want to be a better finisher than those guys on the other sideline. So yeah, it's a test. Everybody's banged up out there. Everybody's missing players. Everybody's trying to find a way, everybody. And I think you'll see everyone's best, their best competitive side, their most competitive DNA show out in November.
Sean McPherson, KWVA.
Coach, it feels like over the past couple of games, you guys have been really good coming out of halftime in the third quarter, in the fourth quarter. When earlier this season, it felt like the third quarter was maybe your guys' weakest quarter. What do you attribute the second half improvement to?
Well, offensively, we sustained drives and didn't turn the ball over. So third down has been much better, and it's been because I wouldn't say all the time, but there's been more third and manageables. On defense, it started with first down, putting teams in more difficult second and third down situations, getting off the field. And we've been able to really crank up our third down performances when we do that, which is right. That's the natural part of the game. So starting fast is something that's really important for everybody. It has improved for us and needed to improve for us because of the things that you had just mentioned. But, getting in there at halftime and making the right adjustments, giving our players the best chance, and them taking that information and coming out with great energy in the second half has been the key. They've done a really good job with it, and we look forward to continue that improvement.
James.
I'm sure nothing KT does surprises you guys anymore, but when you look back at the film, given the caliber of competition he just played, and not just the individual matchups, but sticking with plays, Mario, and sticking with the runs after they got past him from the backside and all those things that he did this past weekend, how impressive was what he did, and how much will you need it again against probably the best offensive line you guys are going to face this season?
We'll need it all the way through, every single game in every way. The best part about KT is that he just keeps coming. No matter what, he just keeps coming. Doesn't want to come out of the game, doesn't need to come out of the game. He wants more, and that's infectious. That permeates throughout the sideline, the locker room, and everything else. Just giving every ounce that you got. So, you guys, one of a kind.
Back to James.
You mentioned their tight ends, Mario. Your thoughts on how Jamal has done in that role, matching up with those guys, and Noah as well. I know this past week, obviously, they didn't have tight ends, but when you have played multiple tight ends, it's largely fallen on those two guys. Your thoughts on those two guys and their coverage of tight ends this season?
They've done a good job, and this poses a different kind of challenge with the way, again, those broken sets, those guys are all over the place. They're attached, detached, bunch sets, 2x2, 3x1, they move them, they shift them, they go in motion. So discipline eyes, aligning properly, assignment football, all that comes into play. And then you've got to play with power and technique and making sure that all the while that you're playing with great intensity and finishing, because you've got, again, an excellent offensive operation that uses those guys and their abilities very well.
James.
Does the potential for a rematch in a couple of weeks matter at all from a planning standpoint whatsoever, Mario? Or does that just, you worry about that later?
There's no other focus except this week's game for us.
All right, Coach, looks like that's all we have for you. Appreciate the time.
Okay, thanks, guys. Have a good day.